What up guys, it is Justice here and welcome to a new video where I'm showcasing every boss in Runescape 3 by killing them all in one night. Before raids are released with two brand new bosses, which I will by the way have to kill 100 times to reobtain my final boss title, I decided to go out and kill every boss in the game. This was a couple of weeks ago in one night. It took approximately around 2.5 hours. I will be uploading a video soon discussing my preparations for raids, which I still cannot wait for, so I'm really excited for that. For the time being though, enjoy this video, a montage of all the Runescape 3 boss monsters currently in the game with some awesome highlights and some unexpected drops. The Reaper Challenge. Okay, so starting off with Araxxor, and as you can see I'm meleeing it. A preference for a lot of people in the game when they do Araxxor, which is one of the hardest bosses to solo in the entire game. You can also duo this boss, but a preference in terms of gear setup is tank gear. So for example, full melee Tetsu armor and dry gauze, etc., steadfast boots, and even pneumatic gloves rather than razorbacks, which I'm using right now. But yeah, melee is a preference for the faster kills, but range is a lot easier and it's more relaxing, so it's up to you, personal preference on what you want to use. But Araxxor, I went through a stage of doing this. The drops you can get from this boss is 3 different tier 90 styles of weaponry. So the melee two-handed scythe, noxious longbow, and the noxious staff. As you can see, very close near-death experiences there on screen. Twice in fact got less than 1000 life points, so yeah, it can be pretty brutal when you're melee in phase 4 at Araxxor, but once you get through it, it's pretty smooth. So there you go, that's one of the first bosses down Araxxor. Second boss is the Barrows brothers, which were pretty damn easy anyway. Now moving on to Rise of the Six. Now this was a really interesting boss fight on the night because, well, let's just say it was quite hard to find a solid team on the spot to try and do this quickly. So we ended up just mashing some people together and they kind of died a lot, so basically I ended up soloing my side, which has Torag on. So I was running north to south to try and restrict the auto attacks and try and prevent Torag from pummeling me. So eventually I take Torag down, then move on to the next boss, and at this point it's a real clutch kill this part right now, and I could not believe what happens. But just watch carefully what happens here. So just to recap there, I hit a huge wild magic, then went on to hitting an 8k fire breath, then a basic ability to finish off Darek, go through Carol's bomb, and then finish off the brothers on the other side. It was an insane kill. I then decided to go and kill the Chaos Elemental, which was completed without getting PK'd. Success! Now moving on to hard mode Zilyana, where I've heard the Sunshine ability has now been updated as an ability across the game, so as long as you've got Sunshine ability out within the second phase of hard mode Zilyana whilst you kill her, that will count as the ultimate and you will completely take her out, and that will be hard mode Zilly complete. You can also walk Zilyana if you want to prevent her from cascading the lightning completely. If you're duo, one of you meta, one of you Sunshine. Now moving on to the Corporal Beast. Now, there is a lot of history behind this boss. I mean, pre-OC there used to be thriving friends chats just to kill this boss and to go for the sigil drops, and it was all, I think it was like loot share, and yeah, it was a very, very popular boss. In the EOC now, it's not as popular as it used to be. Now moving on to the Daggannoth Kings, and this is solo right now on the medium spawn rate. With the medium spawn rate with tier 90 weaponry, you usually get it done just about in time, and it's really fast. You can get around, I think, 200 kills an hour soloing DKs, which is one of the fastest boss monsters for kill count which you can do. And a lot of people who go for the final boss title and want to get that total KC up to 5,000, a lot of people would kill DKs solo or duo and get 200 to 300 kills an hour, depending on what setup and gear setups you've got. Tier 80, I'm not sure whether that's going to be fast enough for medium spawn. You might have to have it on the slowest or go into a normal instance. Nonetheless, this is still a decent boss to kill, around 3 mil per hour if you pick up all the talismans. It can be okay and it can be a lot of fun, but it's very click intensive. Now moving on to Graardor, which is located in the God Wars dungeon, hard mode version introduced post EOC. And in hard mode, the tactics you want to use is essentially run around the room whilst casting your abilities. If you spam click the ground whilst clicking your abilities, they will still cascade off onto the boss. Therefore, you can still deal damage. You want to metamorphose, use that as often as you can. Again, the most efficient way to do hard mode God Wars dungeon bosses is to duo them. It does speed it up a lot, and you can conserve your food a lot more, and get a lot more kills per trip, and alternate your pet drops. Now this boss can be a lot of fun to do, but the effort you put in compared to the rewards that you get doesn't really make it worth it unless you're going for the pet. And yes, the giant mole, the dreaded giant mole, was in the game pre-OC, has been updated in the OC with new mechanics. These mechanics were introduced to help lower level players get used to the EOC mechanics. Now gearing up for the fight kiln, one of the most annoying things you can do to get final boss title, unless you get into the rhythm of doing it. Now this has had a lot of changes over the time it's been in the game. One of the recent changes to it is that you can now set the spawn rates of the wave, so it literally did knock off almost 10 minutes of the time. You can now get an average time at the fight kiln of 20 minutes. I think my fastest is 17:23, so it can be a lot of fun. You can kill all of your Jads via this mechanic as well, and the end boss fight is Har-Aken, which can be extremely fun to do. And if you want to get it within one spawn without it going back down in the lava, make sure you got a Steel Titan, Meta out, use your thresholds and an adrenaline pot, and you should be able to take it down. Next boss, which I've just killed there, is the Kalphite King, and this drops tier 90 melee weapons, Graardor, maces, longswords and rapiers. Next boss is the Kalphite Queen, easily soloable, melee switch with a magic switch, and you're sorted essentially. You want to zerk out within the first phase if you've already got adrenaline from the previous kill. If not, just threshold and then meta on the second phase, and that's pretty much all you need to know. Steel Titan also helps here with the extra range attacks if you've got 99 summoning. Really interesting boss. It's been out in the game for a long ass time, and obviously the history behind this is that it drops the dragon chain body. Now moving on to hard mode Kree'arra. Best way to do this is probably actually magic or range, up to you, but stay near the door and you'll be fine. Again, the most effective way is to duo it. Now moving on to Krill as well. Most effective way, get one person to tank this one whilst the other person purely DPSs. The person who's tanking can use thresholds, the person who's DPSing zerk out and use a full melee ability rotation. And there you go, Krill completed. I've already got the Krill pet, so no chance of getting that here now. Now moving on to the Ascension dungeon, where there are 6 boss monsters: Primus, Secundus, Tertius, Quartus, Quintus and Sextus. And yeah, these bosses are really easy to kill. They're essentially farmable, and you farm these to obtain a signet from each of them to make a main hand or offhand Ascension crossbow. The closer you are to them, the more damage you deal. The next boss is Next, which is in fact my favourite boss currently in the game to solo. This is the Zaros phase, the final phase of the next fight. And Next drops a huge variation of drops, all of the Next armors, Torva, Virtus, Pernix, and also the unique drops of Virtus 1 and Book and the Zarite Bow. Now this is a different kill a couple of weeks ago, but I do have the loot from the one Next kill I got on that night. No way! No way! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh, that was awesome. What an epic way to almost end this night. Killing every boss in the game, we're going to get Pernix chaps for next solo. Now moving on to the second to last boss in RuneScape 3, Queen Black Dragon aka QBD. And this is one of the few bosses that has actually been able to retain a high rate of GP per hour. You're still able to reach up to 7 mil per hour here. And my favourite boss to end this off is, of course, Verago, the boss that evolutionized PvM within RuneScape 3. Fantastic boss fight, you've seen loads of it on my channel. The basic rewards per hour don't add up that much if you're splitting amongst the entire team, but if you do manage to get a seismic 1 drop or a seismic singularity drop, it can average out to pretty decent money making per hour. And that's all 20 official boss monsters currently in the game of RuneScape 3. 2 new bosses being released later this month with the first raid, the Liberation of Mazcab. They will be called Beastmaster and Yakamaru. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Rate, comment and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video or live stream. Good luck on your PvM trips and happy scaping.